Well, on the way home, on the way home, very sorry.
Good evening, welcome. Please stand for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As always, I want to thank the veterans and their families for the sacrifices that they've made and are still today. Well, first I want to open with some updates from City Hall and the Mayor's desk. So, currently we are between 70 and 80% complete with the fiscal 20 audit. We are on track to be completed by or before the end of the year. They may be slightly ahead. What this means to the city and the citizens is this will get us off of the list with the state and give us an opportunity to apply for some grant money for improvements in the city, as well as some LMIG money to maybe do some highway improvements. Second thing on the list is the signs are up at Bear Creek, as I understand it, at the Bear Creek Middle School. This is put up by Blue Line Solutions. The system, as I understand it, may be complete at the elementary on Broad Street by the end of November. And I have to alert the public to beware, be safe. It is for the safety of our children, and they will issue tickets. And it will come via the mail. Third on the list, there are new speed bumps on Railroad Street. Again, beware. They are bumper bangers. They are not for the weak at heart. I hit it at 35 just to see what it would do. You don't want to hit it at 35. So, it's been asked for and asked for. They were on back order, and we got them in. Then the hardware was back ordered, so we finally got them. So, just again, cautious and beware. We are looking at other locations that have been requested. No promises, but there again, we will look into them as needed. And as everyone probably knows, Dooleytown has been a big request. Fourth on the list, well exploration, which seems to be a big sore spot for the city, always has been. We aspire to be more water independent, and so the city put in the required road bed at Hillman Park. The drilling equipment was put in place, the casing was done, and as of tomorrow they should hit the 420 foot mark. At that point they will see what the flow is and all of the necessary things to tell us whether it will be a viable location. And if it does appear to be, then samples will be pulled and they have to go to the state, and then the state, if they're satisfied, will issue the permits to proceed to the next step. So we are, again, closing in on a very important goal for the city. Another thing is that we found out working with EMI Engineering that there are some grants that are not dependent on us getting our audits done. And there's two grants that we are going to apply for. One would be to clean up the 54-acre lake and dredge it to as deep as we can and still be away from the impervious surface, which layman's terms just means if you go too deep, then the water just drains out of the lake. Kind of like punching a hole in the bucket. The other thing is a grant that would put in a tier system. What the tier system would do would be to bring the water up at levels that allow sediment out and bring it to the next level, and then take the clean water off the surface of that tier system and run it through our filtration system, and also some upgrades to the water plant itself. Now, why that's so important is if we can get good, clean water from that lake, it is permitted for 1.2 million gallons per day. To put that in layman's terms, it would support the city and its growth for about 3 times the growth of what we have right now. Along with our spring and the well, it would put us well on the way to being a more independent city, and probably save us about $1.2 to $1.3 million every 3 years in paying to other municipalities for clean water. So, number 6 on the list, we have a guy that we hired, I think 4, maybe 5 weeks ago, David. He's working out very well with the street department. We acquired him from Gainesville Water Sewer Department, and he's very knowledgeable. He lives right here in Statham and wanted to be closer to home. And again, he's working out very well. We've also hired a young man, Jimmy. He starts Monday, and we're still receiving applicants about weekly. So that is the update from the mayor's desk, and I think some exciting things that are happening for the city. Moving on to the public hearing. The purpose of this public hearing is the millage rate for tax year 2021. The City of Statham property tax levy for Barrow County increased for 2021 tax year by $40,000. I explained in a previous hearing that $40,000 is basically the difference between what the rollback is recommended and what our new budget is required. So it's a $40,000 difference. The City of Statham anticipates the property tax levy for Barrow County for tax year 2021 will be set at 4.345 mils, which worked out to a 16.64% increase from the proposed rollback of 3.725. A tax report was provided by the mayor to the council and the citizens at the September 9th, 2021 work session, and it is available both on the website as well as our social media. Anyone that would like a hard copy, City Hall can provide that for a fee per page. Am I correct on that?
We're not charging.
We're not charging? Okay. So I stand corrected. So if you want a hard copy, we can provide it. I have some tonight if anyone did want that was not here at a previous meeting. So at this point, I'm going to open it up to citizen input. Anyone signed up?
Mr. Bowden, I have.
Okay. I must remind you that this is to speak on behalf of the millage rate only.
Okay.
So,
I guess I have a couple of questions. The first one, I see somebody missing here. I don't, maybe she couldn't make it tonight. Our city administrator, I assume, I don't know why she wouldn't be here to answer some questions. But
on the millage?
Well, yeah, I assume she probably helped formulate the increases, and she's the one that helped formulate the budget. So anyways, she's not here, so I can't address any questions for her. I guess I would like to know if you knew that we were going to have a millage increase, wouldn't that have been important to have stated that or to have worked that into the formulation of the budget for 2021? I mean, that way, you know, either things could have been cut to avoid a millage rate increase, or
things could have been adjusted some way. I'm just a little confused. If you knew that we were gonna have to raise the millage rate, why wasn't the city council and the citizens alerted to that?
Because it was after the fact, after the budget hearings, after the budget was passed, and then the county sent us the information.
Okay, so,
The city accountant provided the numbers necessary, based on what the state recommends.
right,
Now, if you go by what our millage is now, it would be about a 13% increase. But we have to figure it and tell the public that the state wants a rollback, and by those numbers to go to their rollback number. That's why it looks like we're asking for a 16.64%. The actual increase is not that much, but we have to go by what they provide us. And they say the city is growing. So because the city is growing, they feel we need less to survive, for lack of better words. But this was not available to us when we had the budget hearings. If it was, it would have definitely been provided.
okay.
If you have other questions on it, I may be able to answer them, but you're also welcome to come in and
Okay,
ask during business hours.
okay,
But she's not required to be here
okay.
at the,
Seems like that would be important to have the person who does all the accounting for the city at the city council meeting, so that if there's a question concerning budgetary things or things that she handles, which is basically all the city's business, it seems important that she should be here, but who am I? It seems important to me that if I had a question to ask her about that, I could ask her.
do you have a question that maybe I could answer?
No. The
Do
next
you
thing.
have a copy of this millage explanation?
No, I would like one though. It's a little.
Happy to give you one before
That's
you
fine.
leave. I have a
Okay.
couple already printed out.
Okay. The other thing is it's not necessarily relating to the millage rate, but it's directly related to how I got up here. I just wanted to inform the citizens of this while I have this voice all this.
If it's not the millage,
You are no longer allowed by this mayor to be placed on the city agenda. Beforehand, with all the other administrations, you were allowed any question that you wanted to ask, any topics that you wanted to discuss, your name would be placed on here with that issue. And then you would be able to inform your fellow citizens that you are wanting to talk about cats and dogs, the moon having green cheese on it, whatever. You had that right. You no longer have that. So I just wanted to inform the citizens of Statham that you are no longer allowed to have your name posted on the city council.
duly noted. Let me correct you. Work sessions, you can speak about anything. If you want to talk about your dog
City council
pee-pee,
meetings. City council meetings.
excuse me,
We were always allowed to be on the city council meetings. No longer.
I gave you your opportunity. Now, let me tell you and the public, you are allowed to come to a work session, and if you want to talk about your dog, I will more than happily let you talk about your dog.
Okay.
This is a voting session. So when you
changed
listen,
it to a voting session.
and it is the prerogative of the
You
mayor,
changed it to that.
I have to be responsible to the city,
Okay.
okay?
All right.
So I set the agenda. We have it in a work session.
Mm-hmm.
You can discuss anything you want about that subject or anything that you would like
What
to
if
bring.
something happens
like
after
to
the work
bring-
session?
Excuse me.
Okay.
Okay? Now, in a work session, you talk about whatever you like or about whatever is on the agenda. In a voting session, we vote on the items that were discussed in the work session.
Okay.
I have the citizen input, and you can speak about the millage. Now, I just afforded you your platform to shame me.
I'm not shaming you. I'm
Yes, you
questioning
are.
the
You
policy.
are making an
Questioning the policy.
You are making an accusation.
I'm making an
It
accusation.
is a policy. It is the new
You have
policy.
shut down questioning.
No, I
your
have
government.
not.
Yes,
No.
you have.
I gave you
You
the
eliminated
opportunity.
the forum for me to question my government.
No, you
Yes,
didn't.
you have.
work session, you can speak,
You should be able
whatever.
to, any city council meeting, any public meeting, you should be allowed to question your government officials. You have removed that.
And I did, millage.
Removed that.
No, I did
Yes,
not.
you have.
No, I have not.
You used to be able to
Mayor,
do that.
as a parliamentarian of the city, I feel it's important to note that under Robert's Rules of Order, only one person can speak at a time. After someone has ceded the floor, they cannot speak anymore unless they are recognized by the chair. That's under Robert's Rules of Order.
Thank you.
I'm done.
Mayor, Mr. Venable wants to speak on the millage.
Yes.
I came in late, sorry about that.
That's okay.
My question about the millage rate would have to say, if the millage rate is not lifted, brought up, are we short? Because our forecast for our budget was done accordingly to projection of numbers, to projection in and out. What we're bringing in, what's gonna go up. Not according to the new millage rate, but according to the concurrent of the millage rate that you had set in June. Budget that you had set in June. So does this cause the issue, or are we stockpiling because we're on a fiscal year, county's on a calendar year, I believe, because they're January to December, we're July to June. So I understand the 6 months laying over each other. So what will this do if the vote is no to increasing taxes? And what would it do to, if it's a yes, what does the value of that new money go towards? Because our budget is set. We according to the budget hearings I was at, we have a balanced budget without an increase of taxes.
Mhm.
So what would this do? Either way, up or down?
Okay. There were several items that were requested that we, during the budget hearing, that we kind of move our estimates a little higher. Based on what the millage is now, we should be okay. If we do not increase this millage to, and we based it on this 4.345 because we said we would probably see X number of homes built. We'd have X number of water taps and sewer taps. And so taking all of that into our revenue, we should be able to expend X amount, as you said. So, but if the state wants us to roll back to the 3.725, then the council is going to have to go back to amending the budget, and there are going to have to be cuts.
So on the 3.25, what's the dollar value?
The 3.725?
Yes, 3.725.
The way I understand it, if we go to the 16.64, it's going to be approximately, let me pull it here, because I know there were examples put in here based on home values and how much it would increase the dollar amount.
Because my question is, while you're looking for that, would be, what is the true number if the council chooses not to increase with the 3.75 rollback? What would be our new number? And when would the anticipation of deciding what, if anything, would need to be cut? Because, excuse me, because in government, sometimes you have a project, but for certain reasons, you can't get to that project, so that line item is not going to be used. Or an employee might leave, and that line item might not get to use. Right now, the police department, don't know yet, has not hired their 2 new employees, so that money's not getting used. So I'm just wondering, on the dollar value, without the increase that you're asking for, and with the rollback that the county is doing, what would be the true number that we're looking at for budgetary possible cuts?
I had a similar
I'm gonna-
question.
I'm gonna guesstimate at a half a million. That's my guesstimation. It could be 300,000 to 500,000
That we have to cut?
that we may have to cut. That is-
300,000 off of our budget?
That's,
But
if
you have-
if we roll back to what the state recommends, the 3.725, yes. If we stay where we're at and we do what we are currently at, then it would be a lesser amount, okay?
Okay,
But
and I
if-
don't have paperwork to calculate in my head, but we're looking at here, it says, for an increase of 40,000, either way, the state's saying one thing, and the county who projects the numbers says another thing. But what I'm seeing is if we maintain what we had last year, and you're saying that they say roll it back 3.72%, I can't come up with 500,000 in my head.
No, if we go from where we're at to what they recommend, the state recommends 3.725, I
Correct.
believe,
Correct.
then we are looking at approximately $300,000. I don't have all of those numbers, and as Mr. Bodenreiter stated, the accountant does, but I did not require her to be here.
Yeah.
But I would be more than happy to have her come at the next one.
Okay,
But,
because I think that would help the council really understand the true number of anticipating a vote either way to know what the hit is going to be on the budget. And to know where we at right now currently and what projects possibly are on the table, because our budget starts July, so you're July, August, September, October, you're only 1 quarter, you're 4 months into your budgetary year. So I don't know how you can anticipate to have an understanding unless you have those numbers. That's just me in my head thinking, I would like to know possibly what hit the city may take, and I will ask for a current budget to see what expenditures we have done and what projects, but, okay, that's my question.
I have another question in that vein about the unspent monies, in particular line items that didn't get spent, and the fund balance transfer in July when the new budget came in. We never got those figures, and I know all of that kind of plays in as well. I know particularly the tree, green space, and beautification budget. We didn't spend all of those monies, and there's more than one of those line items, and when it never got a report on the fund balance transfer and how all this relates to the ask, from the city on the budget.
Did you get this?
Okay.
Are there other questions in reference to the millage?
Well, I had one.
You want
We
to know
never-
the expenditures? You want to know where they're
We
at?
never knew what happened to the monies that we anticipated dropping into the general fund, where those landed and where those numbers were.
What money?
The unspent monies in the budget that drops back into the general fund.
No, it doesn't drop into the general fund. It's always in the general fund. And then you have a line item that says for the police department, for instance, for ammunition, okay?
Okay,
Now, at the end of the year, if their budget for ammunition is $5,000 and they only spend $3,000, then
Okay.
$2,000 remains, doesn't drop in. The monies are always pulled out of your general fund
okay,
to satisfy a line item. The
okay,
money's not on that line item, it's pulled to that line item.
okay,
If they are budgeted for 2 vehicles and only purchase 1 vehicle,
right,
then those monies will go back into the general fund when you figure your next year's budget. If you have $15,000 in beautification and you only spend $6,000, then $9,000 of that is gonna go right back into. So it's not like there's a pool of money sitting here, what happened to it, and a pool of, there's no magic. It's just simple accounting. Your monies are in a main bucket, just like your bank account,
yes,
and you write a check. It's like doing your line item. Your check goes to ABC company. So the money comes out of your general fund, and the vehicle to get it to ABC company is the check, or that's your line item.
correct.
So that's
So
how
we
you justify it.
July 1st, we reset.
Everything stayed right back to zero, as if you never had a dollar to play with.
That's correct.
Okay.
Now, I'm
your
talking
question.
about the unspent monies in all of the line items, in all of the budget, the police department. Did they have any left over?
As of the end of last year, or as of right
June
now?
30th, June
As
30th,
of June 30th,
right.
all the monies are now at the general fund. Nothing
I'm
is
just asking
in
in
there.
a general way, did the police department have any monies left over?
Last year, probably. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, I think what's being asked is, was there balance forward from money that was not expended from last year's budget? If so, what was the amount? I believe that's what's being asked. So if there was money, that was to be expended from last year's budget, and there was revenues to come in to balance that budget, if not all those revenues were spent, what was the total balance forward amount? Is that correct?
That's correct. And
but nothing
is
was
that,
forwarded.
and is that money considered in the increase? Are those
I
monies?
think you're confusing you don't have money in this line item, this line item, this one. The money is in the general fund.
Correct.
Okay, and the council approved a budget with 3,000 line items.
Correct.
At June 30th, okay, whatever monies was left there it's a dead issue because the money was never in that line item. That was what you anticipated the expenditure to be. The
Correct.
money never left the general fund. Then you do your new budgets, and you say, this is what we anticipate based on last year. And all of those numbers were turned in on the budget that we had that showed what we currently were at, and then what we were anticipating.
Correct.
So I don't understand why you're saying what was left, because it was still in the general budget, in the general fund.
My question is basically, is there a difference in the anticipated amounts left over in budgetary line items from last year and what was actually used in the budget? From what we anticipated, from what we actually transferred. If I do an estimate on my own home budget and I say my bills are gonna cost this much, at the end of the year, if there's money left over, was that amount of money the same as what we anticipated it to be? And was it considered in the new tax increase, if there was a difference?
Again, I think you're saying that we had leftover money last year.
Correct.
The money never came out of the general fund.
I'm not saying that it came
Okay.
out of the general
So
fund.
when
What
we
I'm
did the
saying-
budget hearing, it showed what the anticipated amount was and what was not spent at that point.
Correct.
Now, once we hit July 1, it was a moot point. It didn't matter what was there because the council approved a new budget with all anticipated expenditures and all anticipated income. So whatever was there June 30th, you can't say, well, the police had 15,000 left in theirs and the beautification had 5,000 in there, so we're going to take that ball of money and put it towards understanding whether or not this millage should be done. Every year you have to do the budget all over. And the monies those are just line items. They're not actual dollars that you can touch. And
Mayor, there's a legal answer to this question. The legal answer is as follows. Because the cities are only allowed to maintain a balanced budget, because expenditures have to, or income has to meet expenditures. If there is a budget surplus, which is what you're asking about,
Yes.
Councilmember McCormick, one of two things happens, and y'all would have seen this in the 2021 budget that y'all approved. Either that money was moved in as a fund balance and would have been considered an asset of the city that could be spent, or it was passed through and would remain at the end of the year. So the answer to your question is no. That is not factored in any way into this millage rate increase. It's factored in at the budgeting process. Those are two different processes. The budgeting process is completely independent from the millage rate. And again, that's mainly a function of we adopt a budget at a certain time, and we get the information for millage rate at a different time. And the only thing that I will add to the conversation, and again, this is a legal matter that y'all need to be aware of. The reason why you think of millage rate separate from budgeting, budget can be amended at any time during a fiscal year. A millage rate cannot. You are setting a millage rate once. You do not have the ability to increase the millage rate mid-year. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah.
I think I did.
sorry I couldn't answer all of your questions, but you're welcome to stop in. I can give you a copy of the revenue expenditures, which I have, and I can give you a copy of the millage explanation before you leave. But no other questions on the millage at this point? Please feel free to stop in at City Hall, talk to April. She's here 5 days a week. She can explain it. Obviously better than I can. I didn't hire her on as an accountant. But try my best.
I'm getting put on, I'll get put on the agenda next month.
I appreciate it. So at this time, we will close the public hearing.
Mayor, because it is a public meeting, you are required to have a motion and a second and a vote to close.
I apologize. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing, Mayor.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Unanimous. First voting item, there is a contract that the council has. We have a copier here at City Hall, and we pay a significant amount for the copies. When we used to do our own water bills and postage and all of the things that City Hall was required to function, we had a significant number of copies that copier was capable of doing, and we paid monthly based on that usage. The city only uses a fraction now of what they did before. So what this agreement is I will be asking for the council to allow me to enter into a contract with Duplicating Products. We will get a brand new copier that will do all the same functions. So they'll be upgrading our hardware, however, at a significant decrease in the monthly amount. So it's a benefit to the city, but it's not just lowering the number of copies and the number and the dollar amount that we pay is based on the number of copies. And so they figure the maintenance of what needs to be replaced, when it needs to be replaced, how often, and all of that. Since we only use about roughly 1/10
Probably, yes.
of what we used to, the city's paying a considerable amount of money and not getting any benefit. So the two benefits to this is we'll pay a lesser amount and they'll upgrade our copier to a newer model. It'll still do the same functions, but it'll be based on the usage that the city requires at this time, and we won't really lose any benefits.
Is this the contract that Maya signed in 17 for $400 a month?
On the present copier, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And the one we're proposing is $279? If I'm reading this correct?
Yes.
That's not right.
Okay. Is this a 4-year, it's another 5-year deal?
Mhm.
4
There's
years?
an addendum attached to the sales order, and the only way that this contract would be viable and legal is if that addendum is approved as well. That makes it a 1-year contract that automatically renews, but can be terminated anytime on 30 days notice. And by giving that notice, that means that it will not automatically renew at the conclusion of the year. So effectively, by approving this tonight, it can be up to 5 years, but if we give 30 days written notice, it will end December 31st of the year in which we give notice.
So this is the same company, just a better deal, basically.
Is that
Yes.
correct?
For less copies, we don't need near the copies that we were
We're
using.
using more digital,
Well, we outsource our water bills now.
yeah.
We used
So
to
we
print
don't have
all
to
of
print.
them.
Okay, I got you.
Print the,
And we used to print our
Newsletters
newsletters,
and
everything
water
was
bills.
printed here. And so it was based on the usage at that time. So it is a better price for the city, and we'll start with a brand new unit as well.
We're just now coming up with this now, instead of the work session.
This is something that recently came up, and I don't know, I mean, I can call for a vote, and we can also You can also request to table it until next voting session. That is up to the council. I just felt that since it was saving money, that I would put it on the agenda for tonight.
Mayor, I have a question for the attorney. Did you have a chance to look over this?
I did.
It says no warranty, we make no warranties express or implied, and it goes on from there. I mean, does that mean we're responsible for if it breaks? Do we have a maintenance plan on this, or?
So there is a, base maintenance plan that is included, as you can see. They basically cover all parts, labor, drum, supplies, everything except for paper and staples. So yeah, there is service that will be provided. That's the express warranty disclaimer, the kind of standard boilerplate language. That's what that is meant to do, is it's meant to protect them from claims of damages. If for some reason the copier breaks, they don't have to pay damages if there's a delay in printing something. A good example would be if, again, hypothetically speaking, if we were still printing our water bills and we couldn't get our water bills out because the copier breaks, they're not liable for consequential damages, would be the reason why you have this. But there is a maintenance plan included in this contract.
And that includes the tech support if it does break, I'm assuming. The
They
reason
come
why I
out.
ask this is that working with these things, I know they break quite often.
We call them, they're out the same day, usually within a couple hours, they're out of Gainesville.
What happens to the copier we have now?
They take it and bring us the new one.
Basically.
It was on a lease too, we never purchased it.
There's no charge for shipping it back to you.
Generally speaking, I hate these agreements. I hate this one the least of the ones I've read.
Yeah.
Still don't like it, but it's not the worst.
Any other questions in reference to the copier agreement?
Personally, I don't know, because I haven't had a chance to read through this, what sections I may or may not have for myself.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the, agreement with duplicating products. It looks like we're gonna end up saving, at least $120 a month. And I think if we approve it tonight, it'll help, the administration. This contract ends in December. I think it will help, move things along for the, beginning of the year. So I move that we approve contract with, duplicating systems, or duplicating products, sorry.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? This time I'm gonna squeeze the chief, if you have a minute. Do you have any input or updates that you would like to give to the council? You did include a report on number of reports and things of that nature.
No, I don't at the time. I mean, everything's in the report.
Mayor, I have a question for the chief, if you will. Chief, I've seen in the report that, funding was released back to the company due to medical conditions. So we're gonna try to get that money back for the police dog, and then we're going to try to purchase another one this year.
And that's correct. We have 60 to 90 days to return $12,500 was purchased for the K9. Hopefully we can get this money back, and we already have located another location in Gainesville that actually offers the service. And different with this service is we actually go up and handpick the type of dog that we want. We get a chance to view the facility, meet the instructors, and once that dog leaves that ground there, it's already state certified. The handler's already trained, so when that dog leaves there, they actually go work onto the road.
Do you know how soon we can expect the money to get back, and how soon we can purchase the new dog?
I would say around the first of the year. I have been speaking with Ms. April in reference to it. Just she hadn't heard anything yet, but, my understanding is once the money gets turned back over to the city, that I'll be notified.
The council member Venable, the city accountant turned this over to me. I'm working on getting it refunded.
Okay.
And I'd be happy to advise y'all and update y'all that it's probably something more appropriate for executive session.
Okay, and I have one more question, and if it's not appropriate now, then just stop me. So, will we be required to do a budget amendment if the money is returned? How would that work?
If it's returned,
If the money's refunded to us, since it was not it's not this budget year, we bought it last budget year.
yes, then a budget amendment will need to take place to reflect the money coming back in and then going back out.
Which would be included in, we have to do a budget amendment for accepting the CARES Act money as well, so there's, it would just be another line item that would be included on that budget amendments. Did you want to introduce?
Oh, yes, my bad. I apologize, Mayor Council. Mike, come on for a minute. I know you don't like this, but this is over here. This is Mike right here. He joined us, so he's uncertified right now. He's gonna go to the academy hopefully in January. Mike basically retired the military after 23 years. And, so he lives here in Statham. He basically came to me, wanted to be involved with the city, and as the growth of the city, what direction that we're going in the police department. This would be our first time where we're brought someone on that's not certified. But Mike is gonna come on, and, he's already finished everything he needs to finish. We're just waiting for the exception from post. We don't see that being a problem, and everything goes right. He'll start with us, he'll start in the academy in January. We take 3 months to get finished with, and then after that, he'll have another 90 days of field training. So, we're excited to have him on. I think he's gonna be a good asset to the community here.
Welcome aboard.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. We appreciate your dedication to your country and now community. That's huge, and we love lifers.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is everyone has the minutes for September 21st, the regular meeting minutes. Any questions or corrections on the draft minutes? I'm sorry, I read the wrong date, October 7th, work session. Okay. My apologies. And it was a public hearing. No corrections, no concerns.
Motion to approve October 7th, 2021 minutes as written.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Unanimous? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you all for coming.
Great.
Gary. Well, you might as well. It's still in your budget.
To be honest with you, start considering all options.
Yeah, I need to back you up now.